Hey guys, very good morning to all of you. I hope I'm clearly audible and you guys can also see the screen that says key performance indicators. And great, we have about 9 participants in time and I can see more are joining. Great. So meanwhile, let the other people join in. In fact, let's spend about 5 minutes in going through what we have done in the last session so that we can pick up the thread from where we left. So in fact, let me just quickly run through the screens of the last session. We started learning about how does Google Analytics structure look like. And we started with the first pillar called collection pillar. We then moved on to the configuration pillar. In collection, we learned about how to collect data from your website and send that data into the Google Analytics dashboard so that you can start analyzing it, right? So this is what we did in the initial first half. And then we also saw some blogs we should be reading. Immediately after that, we spent some time in understanding the digital marketing measurement model, which basically is to understand how an organization works, what is the business objective, to boiling it down to KPIs and segments, so that then we know why do we need analytics. This is where I think a lot of things got clear about why are we doing analytics. Soon after that, we started learning about the structure of Google Analytics dashboard, which is in the accounts, properties, and views format. We learned about why views are created and for what purposes. What purpose is it being used generally in my client space and otherwise. We also learned about how views basically are just a copy of all website data, and you can create a specific view by adding filters to it, ensuring the right kind of things come into it. We spoke about how to apply IP filters, geography filters, and applying multiple filters in add or on add sorry and or condition. Sorry. So this is where we stopped. Uh, Today, in fact, in the first half of the session, I would okay. This is one of the key takeaways from the entire workshop, I would say, which is to set goals in Google Analytics. If you have missed understanding this, then I think you may miss understanding a lot of other things hence after. So I would say today is the time where, in the first half, we, very easily, slowly, strongly build our skills in setting up goals. It's very, very important. Mohan says, can you please explain the tracking ID division part? What is the division, Mohan? Can you please help me understand what the question is? Tracking ID division. Okay. Are you talking about this one? Or are you talking about this property ID? Okay. All right. See, whenever you create a new account in Google Analytics, you generate an account number for yourself, which is unique to you. For example, you registered a company called Mohan Kumar Private Limited as one of your accounts in Google Analytics. You'll get a number called 1234567 or something like that. But under Mohan Kumar Private Limited, there can be multiple websites. For example, mohan.com, kumar.com, mohankumarandfamily.com. So you have three different websites under that private limited business. So whenever you enter or start to analyze independent websites under your business, you actually generate a property ID, which is of the format UA, Universal Analytics, hyphen your account number, hyphen property number. Now, in this case, account number will remain the same because they all belong to the same business, but property number will keep changing, which will become hyphen 1, hyphen 2, hyphen 3, and hyphen 4, and so on and so forth. So if you see here in this particular screen, if you have created an account called My Shoe Store, and there are 3 different websites or digital properties, they are still unique in their ID with hyphen 1, hyphen 2, hyphen 3. And after this, we discussed that in one free Google Analytics login ID or with one Gmail ID, you can create 100 accounts, and under each account, you can create 50 websites. So essentially, you can have 5,000 um, unique such codes. Yes, Mohan. So when you create a Google Analytics code, you will get this tracking code automatically. So here, when you create a new account or create a new property, the moment you're done with your registration process, it will automatically take you to this particular screen where this number will be offered to you. You have no choice in choosing a right number. Yeah, so what is the question about it? No, that you generated for yourself, Mohan. So what is the question around it? How do you implement? I still didn't get the question. I'm hoping you are either typing or you can unmute and talk. When you are explaining that, you gave different names to each division, right? But what is the division here? I don't understand the word division. So please, let's have a single vocabulary. Yeah, okay. So UA is one part. Yes, absolutely right. So you're saying this number is divided into 3 parts. UA is one part or one division. This number is the number of your account, and this number is the number of your property. Okay. So what is the question about it? Or have you already gotten the answer? You're saying how do you generate the second one? Is that the question? Okay, got it. All right, Mohan. Great. I'm glad you got it because I still didn't get the question. But anyways, good. But in case you're looking for how to create the next property, you can go on create property and then hyphen 2 will get created. Hyphen 3 will get created. Anyways, good. So good start. We have about 13 participants now. It's about 10:10, and what a wonderful time to begin a new topic. So if you remember in hang on. In this particular session, we spoke about various things though. We spent a good amount of time in understanding digital marketing measurement model, right? Now in today's session, I want you all to focus on only this, the KPIs. And if you remember, I asked you to imagine all of these KPIs out there on a wall, and all of these are changing their colors. And that is why we need analytics to tell us numbers against these. So first, in the last session, we created the report card of marketing team. Now we start putting numbers against them. How do we automatically get these numbers out of our dashboard? Is the quest for the first half of the day. All right. So please pay attention, and I repeat, people who do not understand this part may not be able to understand other things as well in the next session. So this is a very, very dependency led thing. So let's start talking about goals. The goals are very important to set in life. Without goals, you don't know which goal post you will have to run towards. So therefore, let's take this example of this real estate website which I had earlier worked with though long back. This is called Zillow. It's a Europe and America based website where you can buy, rent, sell, and get an estimate of your house before you sell or buy any house. Now, there are other things also. You can find agents, you can get advice, you can read blogs, you can see a lot of content, uh, and so on and so forth. But major things are buy, sell, and rent. Now, imagine users are running marathon on your website. Now, that's funny to imagine. How many of you have ever run a marathon or even a 10K or a 5K? Have you guys run any? No one. My God, you guys should experience a 10K. Ameya has done it. Nice. Good. Pawan also. But what, 10K or a 42K? Okay, 5K, 10K. Okay, good start. So when you run long distances, those who haven't can also imagine it, they usually divide your journey into small milestones. Especially for those people who are running, they get to see the milestone, they feel a little relieved. Hey man, 1 kilometer is now over. I only have four more to go or nine more to go. Then when they reach towards the end of the race, I'm sure Ramaya and Pawan can relate to it. When they reach towards the end of the race, it's just because of the milestone that they see, they regain their power. And somehow in all the marathons I've seen, when the strength is the lowest, people are running the fastest when they're reaching towards the end, right? This is the power of just telling the world what milestones are they have reached. Now these milestones are designed in such a fashion that not only it tells you where you are in the journey, how much have you done and how much is left, but it also kind of, as Sumit is saying, motivation is also pushing you a little further till the next milestone at least. You may fall down in the next milestone, but every milestone is trying to push you to run further. If you look at the digital world, what is happening on your website? If you are selling especially a high price product, a car or a mobile phone, or maybe a house, they're all high prices. Mobiles are also not so easy, where people come on your website and hey, they like the phone, they add it to their cart, they enter their credit card number, and then they say buy. It does not happen like that. It's not that easy. People run a marathon. They'll go to your website today, find one item, one content piece, one YouTube video that you've embedded. Maybe they'll read one review in the next visit. Maybe they will see how many, some Q&A are answered in the Amazon Q&A space. So every time they come towards the purchase, they they cover another milestone till the time they feel, hey, I'm this closer to destination, and they'll make a purchase. Now, any journey of purchase is basically divided into the destination and milestones. Destination essentially that you see as a green tick on your screen, destination is what you always want them to do. So this time you are a marathon organizer. You are not running the marathon yourself, you're a digital marketer. You have to design a marathon so that more and more people finish it. Because the more people finish it, the better money you get. And therefore, when people click on buy now button is when, or they click on pay now button is when their destination is arrived. They've done the action that you always wanted them to do. For example, on a real estate website, the first milestone can be uh, downloading a PDF brochure of a 2 BHK house. Milestone number 2 can be signing up for a newsletter. Number 3 can be playing a YouTube embedded video or a layout video of the entire apartment. Milestone number 4 can be notify me when the product price reduces by 10%, and so on and so forth. So each of these micro milestones or milestones, and listen to this very carefully, if somebody crosses a milestone in the physical or in the digital world, I repeat, if somebody crosses that milestone, it tells to the digital marketer that this person who just crossed the milestone is more interested in the product than those who did not cross this milestone, who basically dropped out much before. Because in the digital world, you are actually not running with your legs. You are clicking here and there, and therefore, if you click more on certain pieces or of certain buttons or downloads on YouTube videos, then it gauges the interests of people and makes you feel that you're getting closer to the destination when you click and click and click and click. Now, that's an important understanding today on how to set these journeys in your Google Analytics dashboard. And we'll spend about an hour about it. But before we start, there are a couple of things we need to understand before we start implementing this. First is very easy, but if there is anyone who does not understand the meaning of the word sales funnel, can say that now. I can spend about 2 minutes in explaining what sales funnel is. If you don't know what it is, say it out loud. If you all know about it, then we can move on. Okay, Amaya says I don't know. Anyone else? Okay, the rest of the class knows. So would anyone like to unmute and tell Amaya what sales funnel is in general? No one? Okay, all right. Guys, when asked, I think you guys should now be comfortable with unmuting and speaking, but that's okay. All right, so Amaya and others who don't know, basically sales funnel is a concept which says that when more people are aware about your product, a good percentage of it may actually consider buying your product, and a good percentage of people who are considering to buy your product may end up buying it. So look at this particular batch. There are 14 participants today. Let's say this is the population of the world, or in our case, 14 people exist, and all 14 people are aware of iPhone X, right? If all of us are aware there is a phone called iPhone X that exists in the market, that means Apple has done a great job in marketing, or at least in the awareness phase of the sales funnel. But how many of us are actually considering to buy that phone? We are going and looking at YouTube videos about that phone. We are looking at reviews. It's already there in our wish list or something like that. How many of us? Maybe out of 14 of us, 6 of us are thinking of buying it. Maybe there are some rich people in this team. But how many of these 6 people who are actually considering to buy an iPhone will end up buying an iPhone and not a competitor. Maybe 2 of us out of 14 will either have a iPhone X right now as I speak about it, or they will end up buying in the near future. You see how sales funnel, essentially, there is a lot of people thinking. It's like a funnel. It has a broader input and a very narrow output. It basically says when a lot of people are aware about your product, only some of them will end up buying it. And in that, there are a few things usually, if you see this, free trials, demos, consultations basically at the decision stage, free webinars, case studies, reviews, product spec sheets, videos, buyer's guide. So all of these things are the activities you will do before you buy an iPhone. Based on what you are doing, a marketer actually gets to know at any given point in time how many people are there in the awareness phase of my phone purchase cycle, how many of them are actively considering, how many of them are closer to decision making. And when somebody looks for a quote, suddenly they offer a 5% discount to speed up the purchase, and so on and so forth. So that's basically a sales funnel. In simple words, more people are aware but less people buy. The second thing is about what kind of goals can you set in Google Analytics. This is technical. So I'll just share with you 4 easy ways of setting Google Analytics goals, and then we will jump into the dashboard. So the first goal is called the destination goal, or the type the goal is destination. See, we were talking about marathon, and the first goal itself is destination. Basically, destination goals are such where you want more and more people to finish running the marathon and reach the destination. And the moment they reach the thank you page, thank you for buying the iPhone, thank you for buying that guitar on my website, your product will be delivered in 3 working days or whatever. Now, this page can only arrive when people have made a decision of purchase or either already paid via credit card or cash on delivery or whatever. So the moment this page appears, Google Analytics understands the goal is achieved. So every time this page appears on anybody's screen, the ticker keeps going up, +1, +2, +3, +4, and so on and so forth. So when as a marketer you log into your Google Analytics dashboard, you see how many products have been sold on your website. Not only that, you can put a price tag on these products so that it can do a calculation for you on products multiplied by the price. What is the revenue of your website in last 7 days, last 1 month, last 3 months? You choose the date. So that's the easiest and the mostly used goal in Google Analytics. Next type of goal is event goal. So what is event goal? Event goal is when uh, when action happens on a website, but the URL does not change. So for example, when you went to a thank you page, the URL was like, amazon.com/iPhoneX/thankyou.html. So you went to that page where that content appeared. In the event goal, you did an action, but the URL did not change. Something happened on that web page itself, right? So for example, downloading a PDF brochure of digital marketing program on Digital Vidya. So it's a download that starts, but the URL does not change. Or playing a YouTube embedded video. Or there are some buttons like register now or sign up for a site visit in a real estate website. What happens is it immediately pops up a small form, and then you enter your name, phone number, email ID, and you submit it. And then somebody gives you a call and the sale happens outside of the website. So event goals basically capture clicks. Whether these clicks are sending you inside of the website or downloading something or popping something up. So event goals are like clicks. I'll give you an example of one of my clients just used it yesterday. I'll tell you where did we use event goals just yesterday with a real estate company. So this real estate client of mine is a hot selling builder in Bangalore, top 3 4 builders. He's in the this thing. And we were trying to analyze many things. One of them was locations. So we realized that people download large number of property brochures in North Bangalore. In North Bangalore, a lot of people are downloading our property brochures, but only 3% of them sign up for a visit to the property. In South Bangalore, there are also some downloads of our property brochures. There are about 6 properties in South Bangalore. The number of downloads are less, much lesser, in fact, less than half of what North Bangalore side is. But the property visit percentage is as high as 23-24%. Not only that, a lot of people, so when I say 24% of a lesser number and 3% of a larger number, the actual number is the same. Can you understand this basic analytics? I'm just giving you an example, so I don't have numbers on the screen. It happened just yesterday. So there were about 300 property visits last week in South Bangalore, but about 700 property visits in North Bangalore. Now, can you imagine that? And this 700 is 3% of the actual inquiries, and 300 is 24% of the actual inquiries. Is it due to digital? No, Sumit. Essentially, what we understood is that north is where the Bangalore city is moving towards. A lot of new properties are coming there. So therefore, because of this, that more inquiries and more site visits and lesser percentage on north tells us the demand is going to increase in future. A lot of people are inquiring, but a large portion of them do not get time because it's far away and so on and so forth. But inquiries are much higher. So all of these numbers basically tell us that the next property that we are going to acquire as a builder, it better be in North Bangalore, because that is where the world is moving in terms of investments, and so on and so forth. And also the prices are different in many things. There were all sorts of dynamics involved in that analytics. How did we get to know about these numbers of property download brochures and inquiries and site visits and so on and so forth? We used a bit of event goals. Sumit says that's weird. Okay, why do you say that's weird? But essentially, if you are aware of Bangalore geography and you also consider in that whatever your Google Analytics dashboard offers versus whatever is the data analytics of Bangalore demographics and where these where the city is moving. So in this case, if you overlay the two data, so Sumit, I'm trying to answer your question about why more inquiries and no visits. I'm just trying to answer that question itself. Is that if you look at the demographics and geography data of Bangalore and put a layer of Google Analytics data on it, you will understand, because North Bangalore is a place where the demand is getting, it's the time where demand is getting generated or has begun to getting generated now. And considering how far it is from the central Bangalore, so it's not like any other city's north, it is Bangalore north. So when we say North Bangalore, you have to understand it's about 1.5 to 2 hours away from the city center. It's not like a Delhi north, or it's not like a some other city north. So where the airport itself is about 1.5 hours away from the city, and so on and so forth. And therefore, those realities of travel comes in way of those visits. But the price and the environment and the job market and many things when it comes to real estate, the pricing, the location, the distance from highways and schools and work locations, it's most appropriate. And therefore, you look at the demand is there more. When I say demand is there more, to me, I also mean that a lot of people in South Bangalore are getting saturated with rates, and therefore demand is always relative from one place to another. And therefore, all of these can happen when we understand event goals and we compare the two kinds of goals we have set. When we say demand of North Bangalore is better than South, then we have to set up goals on Google Analytics from South and North to compare them. Otherwise, you don't know. Goals are always in comparison. For example, you're playing a football game. This is for all of you, not for just Sumit. If you're playing a game of football, you have to strike goals. But let's say you have scored 4 goals, doesn't mean anything till the time we know what is the other party score is, whether it is 8 or whether it is 1. So it's always in comparison to the other extreme. On whether you set the goals is going to tell you anything about the business or not. So while destination goal and event goal basically tells you about numbers, about transactions, it helps you understand behaviors. If you just look at pages per visit, duration per page, both of them are very, very uh, engagement driven goals. For example, let's take a new example now. Let's take imndtv.com. So when I say ndtv.com, I am a content website. And I have set a goal for myself in the next quarter that I will write content such that minimum 30% of my audience will visit more than 5 pages in a single visit. So that is the goal I will set on my Google Analytics. If anybody spends, page 1, page 2, or until page 4 and exits my website, it will not trigger a goal. The moment a user hits the 5th page, it will trigger a goal, and it will tell me what percentage of people are hitting 5 pages in a single visit. And for that to achieve, I will have to do a whole lot of different things. I'll probably change my content format. I will have more text. I will have more videos. I'll have more images and infographics and whatnot. Everything in my content strategy has to change if I have to cross a 5 page per visit milestone. Similarly, duration per page or duration per site, both of the things are there, where you tell what is the engagement level on that one particular page that you have so carefully designed. For example, flipkart.com/Diwali offer. Now, this is the page where a lot of money has gone and it has been invested. Therefore, people should be investing time in it, and so on and so forth. Essentially, it tells you whether people are engaging. If you have set up a time per page or duration per page, you can set it up at 120 seconds or 30 seconds or 5 seconds, whatever you want. If it crosses that particular threshold, then it triggers a goal. So Sumit is saying, is it not a performance indicator? So Sumit, uh, all kinds of things that we have been talking in last 15 minutes are all performance indicators. So essentially that's the name of the session. Hang on, let me show you that. Where did I go back so much? Yeah, so that's the name of the session, performance indicators. So all of these things that we have studied about essentially will become these charts and pie charts and bar graphs and line charts, and essentially will tell whether your marketing team is doing justice to the money that they are spending in digital media. They're all performance indicators. If you had something specific in mind, you can say that, but all of these that we've discussed are performance indicators. So there are 4 types of goals we studied. In fact, let's just start with the easy one. Let me show you a few screenshots and then I will jump into the dashboard. So when you start setting up a goal, it says which type of goal you want. Some examples are also given. Click on destination goal. Write the name of the goal so that you can logically raise reports on it later. Then it says what is your destination equal to. So you can either use a regular expression or you can write slash iPhone X slash thank you.html if it is an exact match. And please ensure that you do not write the entire URL here. You just have to write the slug. You don't have to write the domain name, because Google Analytics already knows your domain name. Uh, you created an account there, and that's it. For all technical purposes, you just have to do these two things and click on create goal. Things are done. As and when people are reaching the destination URL, it will keep moving the ticker. But this is an important thing. You can also put a value to that goal. So if somebody has purchased a guitar on my website, the price of that is 10,000 rupees. I'll put that money here. The currency can be chosen appropriately for which country you belong to. And then there is a funnel. What is this funnel? Funnel is the sales funnel we started the conversation with, so that we know how many people have reached the step 1, the step 2, or the step 3, or the step 4. Essentially, how many people are in the consideration phase, in the awareness phase, or about to purchase phase. So as a marketer, I get to see, I can anticipate how many people are going to buy on which day. That's real insight for future. So ignore the funnel part for next 15 minutes. I'm going to show it practically to you before we debate over the topic of funnel. Okay, so all I want you to do is do not do anything and look at my screen very, very carefully. So this is the website that we have been analyzing. Let me open it again. Today, let's take an example of what am I selling. Okay, so let's say here we have a, let's say, a department called Journeys. So this University of Commons is basically a website that engages young people into solving community problems. It's a very cool place to be in. Engages people and basically makes them into social entrepreneurs, etc. In this case, there is a program called Travelership. Let's say Travelership is what it's written. It basically takes people out on travel and lets them explore things that they don't get to explore otherwise. So they click here, Travelership. Look at how the URL is changing as I'm trying to explore the product, right? So I went to the home page, I went to the department, I went to the page of the product. So this is the product I'm selling. It basically does what it is. Embark upon a life-changing journey, so it is exciting content. And immediately it says, book your seat now, some yarn, and some photos of previous Travelerships, right? Now, I want to, so people who have reached this URL, understand this. This is a micro milestone in itself. People who have reached this URL are more interested in this product than those people who did not reach this URL. Now I click here. Now people who click here are more interested in doing this, buying this product, as opposed to those people who do not click here, right? So in every step, it is giving me something or the other. And then it says apply now. And when you say apply now, it will take you to a thank you page, or somebody will get back to you, or even a payment gateway or something, right? So this is the product. Let's say today, as a team, today we are the marketing team of selling Travelership to across everybody in the country. How do we set key performance indicators of this goal? How good this goal is doing? Once we have set up the key performance indicators, we can push the marketing team on certain performances. How do we do that? So we go to analytics and we go to the admin page like we did in the last session. Last time we spoke about filters. Now we'll talk about goals. And the moment I click on goals, I click on a new goal. Okay. So before we click on a new goal, there's already a goal set. So let's just look at what is this person doing here, how to set this one before we create a new one. There are 19 more goals possible to be created, so we'll create, but let's look at this one. How does this perform? So it says it's a three-step process of setting up a goal in the backend. All three are showing green ticks. That means you have done everything required. Step number one is to choose a template. Don't worry if you even if you choose a wrong template, doesn't matter. This is just a way of categorizing the goal. So I've clicked register online here. Second step, what is the name of the goal and what is the type of the goal? We've already spoken about destination, duration, pages per session and event. Examples are also given here. Thanks.html, 5 minutes or more, 3 pages, played a video, etc. Smart goal is not yet available. I think it's about to get launched soon, which essentially will be a combination of the above. And once you click on continue, the third step is what your destination is equal to or begins with, or a regular expression or whatever. In this case, I've selected equal to. What is my destination equal to? So let's only for demo purposes, let's not sign up, let's not pay directly. Imagine it takes me to a thank you page here, but forget about that. Imagine this is your destination. For our demo purposes today, if people reach here, we assume they have purchased, though they haven't really. But URL is a URL. You can change it to anything else if you want to later. So I copy this and I paste it here. But you look at it, I have not put the domain name. So this one is missing because my Google Analytics dashboard already knows about it. Technically, I can just stop here and click on save. And every time somebody reaches this URL, my goal is considered achieved. I can always look at how many times this has been sold. But I also want to see how much money have I made. I'll put value. I can put $100 or 100 rupee or a 2000 rupee. Now, a lot of my clients ask me difficult questions here. The answers to them are very easy. The questions come, I don't know whether they are coming in your mind or not. If somebody purchases something worth 100 rupees, should I put 100 rupees here? Or should I put my profit? 90 rupees is my cost, my profit is only 10 rupees. Or should I put profit after tax? That's even easier. Yeah, income tax. What? Okay. And not only that, should I, let's say if I'm not selling a product, I'm selling a service, or I'm selling a product, but the sales does not happen online. So people today are not putting a 2 BHK house in their shopping cart and click on pay now button and pay 1 crore rupees online, right? That doesn't happen, at least till now. Maybe in future it may happen. But on a real estate website, you're just capturing leads so that they can come visit and close the sale outside of the website. In such cases, what value should I put if somebody signs up for a site visit? Or if somebody is signing up for a art class, if somebody is signing up for a yoga session, we don't know whether they are going to take 10 sessions or 20 sessions. What is the fee that I'm going to collect from them? Eventually, on my website, I don't know how much revenue have I made if I can't quantify it. That's the question all of my clients ask. Now, for today's, not for today, or Sumit is saying average. So Sumit will not do averages. We'll get accuracy, don't worry. But for the next 15 minutes, we will imagine we are setting a value. Now, how to calculate that value, whether it is PAT or whether it is PBT, whether it is with income tax or so on, whether it is only revenue, whether it is cost apportioned, or there are so many ways of calculating that value. We have just put a number here. Let's see how it works first. Then we can change the value and see the different reports later. All right. And how to calculate this value per lead is also I'm going to talk about 15 minutes from now. Then there is this amazing concept of funnel. What is this funnel? So we have just set up a bunch of steps we believe as a marketer, we believe the user will follow before they reach the destination. By the way, they may directly come on this URL let's say some of their friend has WhatsApped them this particular URL, they may directly go and make the payment. But in an ideal scenario, how will anybody reach there is our quest. So I have put step number one is the home page. People will go here. Step number two, I've written as scope when somebody will read about travelership. And after that, they will click on book your seat now, which is here. If I believe there are more steps between step two and the destination, I can go on adding them. But the idea is to keep the funnel as short and as small as possible, unless absolutely necessary. The shorter the funnel, the easier it is for the user to buy your product. If it is longer, there are 20 steps before you click on a pay now button, then the user will be lost. They don't know what is to be done. Sumit says, if the person directly lands on the form page, will it still trigger a goal? Yes, absolutely. It will still trigger a goal. Sumit, there is no question about whether the goal will be triggered or not. The funnel then, I mean, it will be because I've mentioned it in the first step. The funnel, however, ensures it tells you how is the person reaching the destination. The funnel's job, so uh, Mrinmoy, don't worry about it. I'm going to repeat this concept multiple times over. So what we have just done is we have written the destination, that if somebody reaches here, that means the goal is achieved. We put a value here, whether it is 100 or 1000, whatever value. There's a provision for putting a value there. Funnel basically means what are the steps taken by the user to reach the destination. For example, uh, we wanted the user to reach the end of the marathon, and if they reach the marathon end, they don't win, we win in this case, because we are digital. We want them to reach the destination. So we designed milestones, and we've designed milestones in such a fashion that they quickly finishes it, right? And that is also to be done in consultation with your user experience designer of the website. How many steps should you be doing before you reach there, right? So in this case, we are saying step one, step two, and blah, blah, blah. When people go through these steps, the moment you save it, the people go through these steps, they are being captured by Google Analytics, and the funnel is being designed for you. So what have we done? We have selected a template, we have written a name, selected a destination as a type, and then we put the URL, the value, the steps. It is very easy and it is very intuitive, even if you're doing it the first time. And then you save this goal. The moment you save this goal, and in the front end, if the users, as they're using the website, going through these funnel steps, it will show you the most amazing report you would have ever seen. So where do you find this report is not so important, because we have not even started the reporting dashboard. We'll talk about it later though. If I click on goals and overview, so it shows in the last, let's say, one quarter from 1st July to 16th September, 57 goals have been completed. 57 times people have purchased the travelership thing. Right now it says all goals. If you have set multiple goals, they can all be shown in this drop down. We have just set up a travelership sign up as a goal. It will show up here. Since each goal was worth $100, you've made $5,700. And what is abandonment rate? That means how many people did not eventually convert when they were exposed to it, and blah blah blah. Some numbers are here. It doesn't tell you much. But now come to this particular report, funnel visualization. All the things that you would have read in your books in marketing or in sales funnel books or on YouTube has come to life when you look at this particular screen. This is the sales funnel visual. that usually you see in books, but your data layer on top of it. And this is amazing insights on what's happening on your website. Now, before you have any question, let me summarize what this report tells you. Hold on to your questions, right? Keep a pen and paper handy, right? Keep writing your questions down if you want to. So it says that for this particular goal that you've set in the last quarter, looks like 727 people were exposed to your website's first step, where this particular product was offered, but only 5.64% of them proceeded to step number 2, where they saw the scope of the program. That means a large percentage of it did not even start the journey, or maybe gave up on the first milestone. How many gave up on the first milestone? 686. That means about 95% of people gave up. People who gave up on first milestone basically are called, in the digital world, it is called as leakage. You poured some people on one side, but it didn't flow through on the other side of the funnel. They leaked out of the funnel. Where did they leak out? 286 left the website. Some went onto the other pages of your website, which is okay. But of the 5% people who went on to the second step, see here, 41 people came here, but maybe this page of these 41 people was shared on Facebook or whatever. 61 people directly joined on this step. 102 came here. Now it also tells you something really amazing, that on step number 2, your conversion rate is 42%, which is what any client of mine would love having. That means approximately 42% of people are saying, hey, I want to buy this product. Let me go to the sign up page. So these 43 people signed up. Not only that, some of these 43 people would have shared it amongst friends, and 14 directly came on this page. 57 signed up. This is the funnel. Look at, so many people were aware of your product, and these many people were actively considering buying your product, these many, 102, and 57 actually purchased it. Now what does that mean? It tells you about 100 things. I'm just trying to resist my temptation to tell you 100 stories around it, because I can see a lot of you will be having ideas. But before I come and conclude this report, we have to understand what it offers. And that brings me to the fourth school of thought. Again, going back into philosophy, abstract, and zooming out of our session today. First three school of thought we learned in session 1 itself. Fourth comes now, which is called, with analytics you get to improve on gap based intervention. Have you heard of this thing before, gap based intervention? Though it's very simple, even if you haven't heard of it. It basically tells you where to intervene is more important than how to intervene. Let me give you an example. If I tell you that of all my clients, if I show them this report, and the first thing that comes to my mind is all my clients are stupid, and I'm not joking. When I show them these report, they jump to conclusions. For example, somebody will say only 7.1% conversion rate. That is really unhealthy for the amount of money we are spending on digital marketing. So maybe we are not targeting the right audience. Maybe the product is not good enough. Change the product. Maybe we are not using the right digital platforms to market our product. So there is this tendency in today's marketing people to jump to conclusions without looking at where the gap is. They intervene first despite having data. It's like saying that, hey, my car got punctured, and let's buy a new car. I'm not joking. This is what happens with my clients. They don't even say that my car is punctured, that let's change my tire. They say change the car. Sometimes they also say, hey, let's take a new road. Let's change the destination. Sometimes those kind of statements also I get to hear. Very rarely somebody says, let's go to the puncture repair shop. Because we don't spend time in identifying gaps. Now this report is telling you where is the puncture. So today, let me tell you how to fix punctures. So today, if your CEO says 7% is very less, let's see how we can double it to 14% in the next quarter. This is last quarter data. Maybe next quarter this should be 14% or 15%. Now there are two ways of doing. In fact, there are many ways of doing it, but two ways of doing it uh, so that you could do it very easily. One is you push more people into the funnel. Okay, forget about this 7%. Let's say you want to double this number from 57 to whatever 124. So you will push on more people into the funnel. Instead of 727, you will push in 2000 people, because you know 7% of a larger number will be a larger number, so you will reach here. But this is an expensive affair. You will have to spend money to attract those people onto the entrance of the website. So it's like saying your tire is punctured. Let's fill in more air so it can run a little more. The second is to plug the puncture. Where is the puncture? Here is the leakage and here is the leakage. But in both the leakages, what do we learn from our own self? Here the leakage is about 58%. Here the leakage is about 95%. There is something good happening on this page where you're getting a 42% conversion rate from this step to the next. Can you learn from it? Is it that the user experience is much better here? Is it that the content quality is better? Is it that there are some videos that you've put here? Is it that something is really, really attracting that 42% people are converting? The idea is to learn from your own self or apply best practices you learn from Google or wherever, or your experience, and try and implement on this page. Figure out, can you reduce this number? Now, if you figure or if you discover ways to reduce this number, it comes to your organization free of cost, because you don't have to acquire people. You already have those users on your site and you're just plugging the leakage. Now, in this case, imagine if you change this from 5% to about 20%. Forget about making it 42%, which is really, really huge. If you just double it or triple it, this number will be significantly impacted. It is very important to look at funnel. Now, one of my client, after looking at this report and after listening to all of this yarn also, though we had about funnels with 20 steps and 15 steps and 7 steps and about 20 funnels we had set up, what did he say? And I feel sorry about one of my clients, and I'm trying to fix things in his company. He's also learning and I'm also learning. Is that, why do we need to do all of this when there is another way in which we can look at that report of how many users are coming to each page? So I can see on home page how many people are there. I can see on this particular page how many people are there. I can see on this uh, page how many people have arrived, and we can draw we can draw something. We can draw the same conclusion that 727 was there and 57 was in the end, and therefore that is the conversion rate, and therefore we decided to go ahead and do it. So we said, okay, we'll do the way you want us to do it, because putting in funnels are difficult or maybe useless. We started drawing our own inferences from the data. After about 7 days of hard work, we created a presentation to show him, which exactly was the same. Now, what power does this particular funnel tells us can be understood only when we stop using this, or what will we miss if we stop using this report? When we stop using this report, it feels like I'm playing in blind. It feels like, hey, I can see 727 people coming and I can see 57 people exiting my funnel, but I don't see what is happening in between. Where are people leaking? What are the places to be fixed? That is the visual I can see here. That is like removing my blindfold and looking at where my people are leaving or liking. So Pyle is asking a very good question. How do we get a good conversion rate? Okay, Pyle, let me tell you another story. Before you ask this question to yourself or to me. See, I have, let's say, okay, not I don't want to take it on myself, but let's say there is somebody who has high blood pressure, health concern, and gap-based interventions were first discovered in healthcare. Then it moved to education, then it moved to marketing and businesses and so on and so forth. So in healthcare, there was a whole industry that got founded in about 1940s in India. In the Western world, it was there, based on analytics. So there is some association of Indian Medical Association and so on and so forth. They sat together in about 1940s or something before independence. And there was some data collated on certain key issues that Indian population gets, and high blood pressure was very famous then for some reason I don't know. So if you look at that data and journey that has happened in the healthcare industry, and gap-based intervention came in when a lot of reports were collated, that there is a need of diagnosis. I mean, we use the word we have to diagnose the problem, right? Today, very so oftenly without knowing the importance of diagnosis. And therefore, this industry of diagnostic labs in India got formed. And then doctors became, or clinics and hospitals became separate from the diagnosing labs. Do you see around wherever you stay in India or abroad, you will see that there are certain labs where you go to get your blood tested, to get your tissues tested, or maybe eyes tested or something else. They're different from doctors because you then grab that report from the diagnostic lab and then you go to the doctor to show it to the report to the doctor. Because then in that 1940s, what has happened in the healthcare industry is that data collection and data analysis were independently created, or they were separated from each other. In the education space now, also we are saying that in about 2018, data collection, taking exams in schools is basically data collection. Somebody got 20 marks out of 100, failed in mathematics. So when a student is giving assessment papers, is a data collection job. And our education system, when we say is designed for only exams and not for learning, I'm sure all of us have been looking at some videos and conferences and maybe conversation of our friends cribbed about education system. It's about this time in the country where many state governments I'm working with are trying to set up diagnosing separately and intervening separately, and therefore exams fall in the data analysis part. The learning or intervention has not even begun in the education industry in last 70 years of independence. So in the education industry, you will start seeing specific doctor equivalent uh, professionals who will look at your exams, look at your mark sheets and tell you right kind of intervention so that learning can begin after exam is over. It's how 2020 at least Maharashtra and Delhi are doing. Now in the space of the question file that you are asking, how do we get them converted is the most natural question after you have diagnosed a disease in your body. I have now found out why do I have high blood pressure. The next question is how do I get it fixed? And that for that pile, You have just gone through the diagnostic lab. So this report is what will be given to you by a web analyst. Web analyst is basically doing diagnosis of your business. Now you have to take this report and go to a mathematics tutor or a blood pressure doctor or a puncture repair shop, because these are professional, highly qualified professionals to solve that problem after looking at that report. How do you get them converted? You have to go to either a highly qualified user experience designer who qualifies in how to get people converted to buy a product, or you have to go to an experienced digital marketer, or maybe be creative yourself. Why am I giving you this long answer to your short question, Pyle? Because I want you to understand all industries are moving towards diagnosing and intervening separately. Analytics falls in the diagnosing space. And then you go to a digital marketing expert, which I'm hoping some of you are. Or let's say I am the digital marketing expert. If you ask me that question, I will go to the scope page to find my first intervention. And I will see what is it that in the scope page it is so great. Maybe it has got a lot of big images, single lines, less text, good images to engage with, and all of these emotionally stimulating images are not there in the first page. And maybe that is what the user looks before purchase. So there are few items which I will list down are good in this page. I will fix the leakage here by putting them. Maybe that is my way of doing it. Or in the home page itself, I will click a book, give a book now button, and people can directly jump from here to here to shorten the cycle. So there are that's my way of improving, but it can be different from your way of improving stuff. Okay, cool. Thank you. Now, there's one thing I missed telling you. In fact, a couple of things. So let me share that. Then I will open the house for questions. And it's a little easier but complicated topic based on your experience. Picking back that thread of money. What is the value that I should be putting here? So we said we will talk about it later. So now is the time. In cases, let's say a real estate website captures leads and they may or may not convert. How do you put a value for a lead capture? So for that, what we should do now is let me open an Excel sheet. Hang on. So I've just opened an Excel sheet for you guys. And please pay attention to what I'm saying. And after that, I'm opening the house for questions. Most websites are either selling goods. When I say there are two types of products, the one is goods, the other is services. Or you can say people who are selling directly and people who are selling or capturing leads and selling indirectly. I mean, they will sell later once they capture leads. Let's say the price of the product is 100 rupees. Some of my clients put 100 rupees in the value. But let's say, while this is the product price, this is the MRP of the product. They put this so that they know how much of worth of products have they sold or how much money came into their account. But there is a cost associated with it. The cost essentially is a sum of product cost. Let's say the cost itself was for 80 rupees. People cost is 2 rupees. IT cost is 1 rupee. Oops, sorry. Your return and apportionment cost is 1 rupee. Overall, the total cost is the sum of all of this. Let's say 90 rupees is what you have apportioned everything towards. 90 rupees is the delivery at home cost. So therefore the profit is basically 10 rupees. As simple as that. Some people put this value. Some people put profit after tax value, which basically is the 70% value of this. You pay 30% tax on it. Some people, when they sell 100 rupee worth of product, put 7 rupee as the value because they don't want to see how many or how much came into my account. They would want to see how much will my account retain after paying for the cost and paying for the government. This is easy. This is what a 7th standard child will also understand. But with leads, things get very interesting. Sometimes the products also. But let's bring that concept out with leads. You have captured 100 leads. Let's just talk about it like this. Your conversion rate, very important, your conversion rate is 10%. How do you know your conversion rate? Is by looking at historical data. In last 1 year, considering you have an average sales team, not that you have a dumb or a very intelligent sales team, you have only average sales team and they convert 10% of leads that come to your website. Look at your data in the CRM. So the number of customers you've made is how much? Only 10. Oops. So 10 people have converted. Now, assuming that you are selling the same product that you are selling here, your profit after tax per customer or per sale was how much? 7 rupees. And therefore, your profit after tax in total is from 10 customers, you have made 7 rupees. So 70. This is also very simple. So now, what it tells you is that because you had 100 leads, you made 70 rupees. And therefore, the cost will be apportioned over 100 leads. Sorry, we will write it value per lead is how much? 70 rupees divided by 100 leads. 0.7 rupees. Now it tells you, while some of my clients will put this value because 100 leads help you made 70 rupees. Therefore, each lead value is 0.7 rupees. Now it tells you something very, very basic. It also tells you that in all your marketing efforts, which you keep calling it as lean marketing, frugal marketing, if your lead acquisition cost is more than zero point 0.7 rupees, you and your business can never be profitable. I repeat, if your lead acquisition cost is more than zero point 0.7 rupees, then you can never be profitable. Isn't it very simple? Because the value per lead is only zero point 0.7 rupees. So today, if you have spent 5,000 rupees on Facebook and got only 50 leads, that means the money that you've spent on each lead is 100 rupees. My God. So you should at least think of 5,000 leads from 5,000 rupees and you had 1 rupee, you will still not be profitable. You have to go that lean. These are all demo data. Don't have to believe in it. But the concept I want to bring is, can you go so lean? If the value per lead has to increase, then the only thing which is dynamic is conversion rate. Right? If you convert more, your value per lead will be higher and hence you can spend more. And therefore a lot depends on conversion rate. Now this is first thing. The second dynamic thing that these startups in 2010 got into Indian Bangalore market from the Silicon Valley, which is called lifetime value. Can anybody tell me what is lifetime value? And then we'll take a break. If you can just tell me what is the lifetime value of a customer. Anybody who can take a shot at what is a lifetime value, as the name itself tells you though? Nobody? Okay. So lifetime value basically means the number of times I will go and re-buy the same product because I loved using that product in history. So lifetime value of many brands are different. For example, I just purchased a house of DLF builder. If ever in my life I buy another house, if I buy it again from DLF, great. My lifetime value of a DLF will be 2. I purchased twice. I'm giving them double business. I drive a Hyundai car. Before I die or before I stop driving cars in my life, I will purchase, let's say, 6 cars. Maybe out of the 6, I so much love Hyundai that I will buy 4 of my cars from Hyundai brand. So my lifetime value with Hyundai will grow up or will grow because I am loyal to them or they have been putting sufficient efforts in making me loyal. Let's talk about a different product. Let's say a Parker pen or a Waterman pen, ink pen I'm using these days. The value is not much. Value is much lesser, not as much as a Hyundai car. But till the time I'm writing, maybe I will buy 50 pens, 50 good pens in my life. Out of those 50 pens, 30 can be Waterman pens. And therefore, my lifetime value is that. And for some average purposes, lifetime value across industry average in the world of all the products is 7. Now, where is this 7 coming from? It's only average, it's not a real number. Let's say for this particular product, my lifetime value is 3. That means I'm going to, just because I purchased once, I became a customer and I purchased once, the business has an opportunity to sell to me thrice because that is what the average of my industry is, right? So the value per lead or the profit after tax also will go up 3 times, and the new value per lead basically is zero point 0.7 into the lifetime value, which is 2.1. And therefore there are two dynamics now. One is conversion rate, the other is lifetime value. Guys, and I repeat this is a very, very important concept, especially if you're working for startups, especially those startups who are pitching to venture capitalists. How do they convince a venture capitalist to have a huge marketing budget and branding budget? Is because these two numbers are inflated. I repeat, if I am a startup and Payal is a venture capitalist, and let's say Sumit is my consultant, Sumit says, Satyam, Payal has a lot of money, and because you're a new business, you should project yourself really high that you will beat the biggest and the biggies of this country. How do you beat them? Tell them that your conversion rate is going to be 50% and your value or your lifetime value is you will get a repeat customer 30 times. Look at the number that got inflated from 3.5 to 105, and that's how Sumit helped me overvaluing my startup. And for little equity, I will have a huge marketing budget. Why do you think this Olas and Ubers and Flipkarts and these, not that they are now startups, but new startups like Food Panda and all, are willing to give you percentage off or a free order if they are not able to satisfy you? Because value per lead for them is so high and they so much believe in the lifetime value that they have to prove to their investors that you will have to come 30 times at least. Are you getting my point? So people who understand this concept of conversion rate, let's say this is historical, so even if you keep it 10%, but if your lifetime value is high and somebody is going to come back again and again, I'm going to make it layman again for somebody who's not understood anything. With 100 leads, you got 10 customers. With 10 customers, they are giving you 7 rupee worth of profit. But the idea is that they're going to come back to you 30 times, and hence you can spend a lot more in acquiring that one customer because that one customer is going to come to you 30 times. And this is the value per lead that you will put here based on what is your lifetime value for your industry. I have oversimplified it for you guys. If I were to sit with my client and do this discussion over a whiteboard, I would have added at least 10 more dynamics. I just added two and inflated this value from 21 to 2100 rupees for some objective of that particular startup, so they could get a right kind of funding for their marketing. All investors ask, why are you spending so much for the marketing? And this is the value, this is the answer to them. So in the last 1 hour 20 minutes, if I run back, we've learnt about goals. This is the most important topic. We've learnt about how to set up destination goals only. We learnt about event pages and duration theoretically. How to do destination goal is basically you go to goals in your admin section. When you click on goals, you click on new goal. When you click on new goal, it asks you what is your goal type. So I can select any, I can select custom. What is your goal description? I will write a name of the goal. Slot ID will be automatically picked up. I'll click on destination. It'll ask me what is my destination equal to. My destination will be the slug that comes after my URL. So it can be products slash iPhone.html or iPhone slash thank you.html, whatever is my destination page. The value will come from those things we discussed, let's say 100 or 200 rupees or dollars. Funnel is step one. So this is awareness. This is consideration, or maybe awareness can have multiple, and you will write the URLs here. And you can keep on adding more steps. File says it should be URL or anything. It has to be URL. So for example, the step number one here was these departments, or these journey departments. So this particular URL, I will pick from here where it comes here. So this is the URL I will pick and I will paste it here. And so on and so forth. This is basically the name with which I will read it in reports. So this is a dummy name for that step. And this is the URL. And then the goal is complete. You get to see those funnels which you saw. Now, in some cases, the funnels can be really long. Okay. By the way, the house is now open for more questions. One example I thought I'll give you. Direct to home service. I was working with Dish TV, though I was not supposed to name them, but that's okay. I was working with Dish TV. On their website, the funnel was really long. For example, you sign up, then you select your budget, then you select your in that budget what are the packages available. You call it sports budget, sports package, news package, cartoon package, kids package, whatever. Then it allows you to add some channels and remove some channels. Then it allows you to do 3-4 other things, and then this thing happens, and so on and so forth. So it used to be very big, now it is all reduced to one page just because we saw a lot of leakage in the funnel because of it being long. If someone skips any step, it will still be targeted red. So nobody skips. So there's nothing called as a skip. They are going from this to somewhere else. Let me show you again. So this is not really a skip. 686 are called leakages. They either exit the website and you know that these are the 286 people, you will retarget, get them back. But they are going to other pages of your website, and hence you can target them again so that they come back to your scope. Yes, so these 14 people file came directly to the sign up form and it adds up to the number. And where are they coming from is also shown. But where is this entrance from? Are they from Facebook? Are they from Twitter? We'll talk about it in the fourth session, last half. We're going to talk about campaigns where all of these will start showing up. And while if you really want to see where are they coming and going from, so there is something called as goal flow. I thought we'll talk about it later though, but goal flow basically is the same report in a little more beautiful format. So this is where it tells you where people are coming from. So it says source, right? Google, Direct, Zscaler, Facebook, Mindtree, .org, and there are other sources, right? So for example, people who are coming from Google, I want to highlight traffic through here. So it tells me, it highlights only those people, where are they moving when they came from Google. Yes, there are some people who directly came from Google. You see this thin line? It directly went into the travelership sign up page. From Google, some people came directly to the scope, but large number of people went to homepage and from there they went forward. And these red color ones are basically the leakages. So out of the 62 signups on Travelership, 14 came from Google. It shows you directly. At 119 from Scope, 32 came from uh, Google, and of home 734. The numbers are different because at one place there is visits, the other place there is visitors. So that's the difference. We'll talk about it. But these are good fancy reports to look at with the team and see which particular source people are coming from and which particular campaign, which particular event, so on and so forth. We'll talk about that when we talk about that. Guys, any questions? Sumit says it looks scary. Sumit, it's not scary. Um, I would say it's a little first thing. It's the first time you're looking at it. That's all. It's the discomfort, Sumit, that will go with time. When I sat in the first of my a Maruti 800 to learn to drive, it was scary. But today it comes naturally, and thanks to that Maruti 800, I've learned to drive many other cars. So you get comfortable with one report, you're going to get over the fear. Okay, Mohan has sent a question to me. Can you please open the Excel sheet? You said I would have included 10 more when I show that to my client. Why don't you include all of them now so that we get good knowledge? Okay. So Mohan, it comes from business to business. So there is a dynamics of geography, product specific. So I'm just talking about leads, huh? Leads of what? I'm talking about a 2 BHK house, or am I talking about a 5 crore villa, or I'm talking about a farmhouse which is about 20 crores. And therefore, what do you think will the conversion rate will be, or geography will be, and so on and so forth. So that comes from product, that comes from so many other things. It's just that today, if I sit with you, Mohan, for your business, you yourself will bring in those dynamics for each product. So therefore, in this case, when I will say, I will also add a dynamic of one product. Let's say this is the not lead, this is lead for my 4-string bass guitar. So I'm working with a client who sells musical instruments in India and in Sri Lanka, biggest website. So now for each product, I will add a geography. Geography means state, and I will have separate value per lead for that particular geography. I will average that out before I create that 21 here. Okay, I am getting other private messages on. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Okay, cool. Okay, understood. So there are some messages about how this has completely changed their startup space. Anyways, thank you so much, guys. So it's 11:30 now, and let's take a break. Let's grab and make a good cup of coffee. Good Gyan session in the first half. Now we are left with 1.5 session, right? Maybe about 2.5 hours next, and about 1 hour after this break. So about 3.5 hours in total. This is the time we are going to spend in understanding basic reports and how we are going to sometimes redo our marketing strategy. I'm going to bring in examples today and in the next session on how, by looking at a two-line report, maybe one number in the report, my clients have completely changed the way they do marketing. So let's look at that now. Now everything we have learned is to set up right kind of reports. Now let's look at those reports and infer them for those businesses. So let's take a break. It's about 12. It's about 11:30. We meet at 12 noon IST. Don't be late. From 12 to about 1:15 is what I will do the session on reporting, and then we can open the house for questions. If anybody wants to leave early, uh, then you will have to let me know sooner so that we can close the session by 1. But until then, let's meet at 12 noon sharp. No late, please. Okay? So see you guys on the other side of the break. Bye bye. Have a good coffee. Hey guys, I hope all of us are back after the break. So I see the number of participants. Okay, there are some attempting to join. Am I audible to all of you? Great. I see that we may have to wait for a couple of more minutes. Some people were facing some issue while joining in. Good. So now more people are in. So in this half of the session is to pick up some reports and look at how those reports solved problems for marketing heads of various organizations. But before we see that, we have to first see what these reports essentially mean. So today, let's first get comfortable with how is it that reports are going to be made visible to us. So let me ask you this question to all of you. How many of you have already seen some of the web analytics reports? How many of you have already been logging in to such a dashboard? Okay, Sumit says through plugins. Pawan has. What about others? Is the first time you're logging into reports? Okay. Okay, so it's pretty new for the batch. That's okay. So see, any report that you will be seeing today will fundamentally be of this format. This format looks very similar to Excel sheets. The first column is called dimension column, and the rest of the sheet will have metrics for that particular dimension. So what is a dimension? What is a metric? And under a dimension, what are dimension values? What is a metric value? So for example, you were looking at your website traffic coming from various cities. So city is the dimension and city names the dimension values. Metrics are on what page is particular city more interested in. There are some products which are famous in certain cities and some may need some improvement in those cities. And metric values are mostly, not mostly, they are always numbers. So that's how the reports are going to be designed, but in a certain more fancy UI format, which will help you understand this a little better. Visuals are easier to absorb than just numbers, and therefore Google Analytics tries and positions a visual in front of you and a Excel sheet kind of a format beneath it. So let's see. In fact, let's just jump into directly into the dashboard to see what all things are on offer. So when you log into a dashboard, this is the first screen that is visible. All right. And this home screen essentially tells you what has happened in the last 7 days. The number of users, the sessions, the bounce rate, session duration, some line graphs, active users right now, and some basic information, which basically is the detail of nothing, but a summary of everything. So that's how it is designed. But on the left hand side, you see there is a vertical panel that starts from home and ends at admin. And there is a search panel in case you're looking for a report directly, you can search for it. Now, home is where you are right now. Admin is we have always accessed until now, until the last two sessions also. Everything in between, when it says report panel, it has 5 tabs. Real time is, I think, we have also been seeing when we want to see what is happening on the website right now. There's a very engaging report, sometimes very dangerous also, because usually people who have about 4-digit, 5-digit users at any given point in time concurrently, it gets to get very exciting, and people are so obsessed with looking at what's happening on the website right now that it doesn't allow for any bandwidth to look deeper. The real deal are these four: audience, acquisition, behavior, and conversions. And they are sequentially positioned. In simple terms, so that we all understand it, audience report tells us who are the people who are coming on our site. Acquisition is how have we acquired them onto our site. Behavior is what are they doing when they are when they're coming to our website. Conversion is whether are they buying things that we want them to buy, or are they doing stuff that we want them to do. So when we click on audience, there are so many sub tabs, and then there are sub tabs. Sometimes they have sub tabs, and so on and so forth. Similarly, when we go into acquisition, again there are tabs and sub tabs. Behavior has tabs and sub tabs, and so on and so forth. There are more than 100 reports that you can see in this free web analytics dashboard. That is why I say, of all the Google products, this is an odd one out, provides exponentially more value than other paid products. So when you click and start with audience overview, if by any chance you've forgotten the meaning of the words users, new users, sessions, number of sessions per user, you can just hover your mouse over these words and there'll be a very quick definition of each in case you've forgotten about it. Let me refresh it. I think the graph is not loading. And guys, also keep in mind that this is the software on cloud. It is not hosted on your computer. It sometimes may take little time to show reports, maybe sometimes about 4 to 5 seconds, and sometimes you may have to wait for as long as 10 seconds to generate a report. So when you click on the tab versus when you get the report, it renders and it takes that long. So what all do you see here is basic website metrics and a trend chart of the number of users on your website in last quarter. Or when I say last quarter, how do I say that? On the top right corner, there is a date picker. By default, it picks up only 7 days. I have picked up 3 months, approximately 2.5 months, to show you this trend chart over a month. So it says that in the month, in the later half of the August, somehow your number of users have gone up. Maybe you ran a campaign, or you did something with your marketing that the result is shown here. So compare it with any other diagnostic report. We've been talking about diagnosis versus intervention. So any intervention will show improvement in diagnosis, or any non-intervention or leaving it unintervened will show some kind of a response. Right now it shows users for that particular date range. You can change the users to something else, maybe new users, page views, sessions, users, etc. Or you can compare and find correlation of users with something else if you may want to, let's say page views, and then draws comparison over these two in case you're looking for comparison, right? So this is how simple it is. And it also allows you to do comparison between date ranges. So right now it is about 26 days, not 26, how much? 30, 66 days approximately worth of data. When I click on compare to, and in the drop down it says previous period, that means it picks up the same number of days in history, approximately 66 days worth in history. And when I apply it, it basically overlays the two data on top of each other and tells you that, hey, previous quarter was so much better. Look at the orange line. And this quarter is not as great in terms of number of users. So if you want to compare the previous quarter campaign with this, right now it shows you daily data. You can change the time elapsed from daily to weekly to monthly to hourly. So it shows that previous quarter was significantly better, and you have lost the opportunity to do anything good this quarter. And the number of users are down by 61%, new users are down by 62%, sessions are also down, average session duration is also reduced, bounce rate has increased by 30%, and so on. So it tells you, it's basically analyzing your health. When I say compared to previous year, that means it picks up the same dates in 2017 and how it was. Yes, you have done better than the previous year. So imagine any company publishing their quarter results quarter on quarter and year on year result. So compared to previous quarter of the same year and compared to previous quarter of the last year. So this is what it does. So you have improved 223% from last year, but you are approximately 62% down from this last quarter. So this is how you will judge your marketing team on their efforts. This is very, very basic. You haven't even started analyzing anything yet. So when I scroll down and stop doing the comparison, it tells me some basic data of language, the browser setting of language browser setting of users, the country where people are coming from, the city where they're coming from, the browser people are using, the operating system people are using, the service provider, that means the internet service provider people are using, and so on and so forth. That's the basic. We're just getting comfortable with the user interface. Now, right now, you're looking at data which is unsegmented. What do I mean by unsegmented? It is that everything that is happening on your site, no matter who the person is, you are seeing them. You can segment the data on a certain parameter you want to. So I click here on add segment. So right now you're looking at all users. I add a segment and I want to see how how females are reacting or how mobile traffic is behaving on my site. Or let's just do it mobile and tablet. And I apply this and it overlays mobile traffic versus overall traffic for this quarter. And it tells me that approximately how much percentage of my users are coming from mobile and tablet. So out of 1400, approximately 709, so more than 50% of my users are using handheld devices, and therefore my user experience has to be designed appropriately. My bounce rate is higher, which is also obvious. Some bounce rate for handheld devices are always higher, time spent is always lesser, but the action done are always quick. Anyways, so this is too early to talk about these things. This is just getting comfortable. Now, on the left hand side of these reports, let's go and click on each of these tabs. Not on each of these tabs. For some, you do not need a trainer. You just click on it and you will know what it is. Things which are important, things which are complex is what I will pick up. You are asked to do all of this yourself, and then we can do it all together. Now, before we start doing that, I think in the last session, all of us got access to Google Merchandise Store data. Is there anyone who does not have access to Google Merchandise Store data? If you do not have, I can tell you now again, so that all of us are looking at the same screen. Okay, Sumit says I removed it. Why did you remove it? It is good to have a playground and do some data analysis together. Okay, Mrinmay doesn't have, who else doesn't have access to Google Merchandise Store.com? Okay, Sumit says I was not able to see my site data. Okay, so Sumit, in case you want to see it, you can switch reports by clicking here on the top, by clicking here and selecting the right business here. Okay, anyways, so those who do not have access to this, let me tell you how to get access. Please follow the step-by-step process I'm following. Click on Discover. If you're not logged into Google Analytics, please log in right now. I will wait for you. Once all of you are on Discover, then we will begin. Sumit says no voice. Okay, am I audible to others? Okay, can you guys hear me? Mohan, Sumit, how about others? Can you guys hear me? Just testing whether am I audible to anybody? Okay, looks like I am audible to others now. Okay, good. So, so let's just reach this dashboard. In case you want to know how to reach this dashboard, if you are starting now, if you're getting up now, then go to google.com/analytics. Click on sign in and sign in with your Gmail ID. And then come to the dashboard and click on discover. The discover is on the left hand side towards bottom and it has a bulb icon. Please click on discover. If you have reached there, please tell that to me in the chat window that you have reached there. All of you guys, this is very, very important. Okay, Mrinmay has reached, Dhananjay has reached, great. Here you will see something called as Google Analytics demo account. Please click on go. When you click on go, it will open a page. Even if you don't have access to Google Analytics account, you can directly click on this URL and click on access demo account. Scroll down a bit. Access demo account. When you click here, you will directly have access to the data coming from googlemerchandisestore.com. It is provided free of cost by Google so that all of us can learn analytics on that data. googlemerchandisestore.com. Now, do we all have access to this particular dashboard that is visible here? It shows the number of users. If you go to audience overview, so come and hang on to audience overview, please. Okay, good. So Mrinmay has reached there. Cool, great. So guys, now from here onwards, even if you don't have a website, this is a good playground to understand and look at reports and make sense. Sumit says I'm still loading. Okay, we'll wait for you, Sumit. In fact, in the tasks or the assignment you're asked to do, this is a great place to do your assignments on top of this data. All right. So now once you have reached grade, use this for your assignment. Now you can minimize it. And let's just look at what all of these reports mean. So I want to click on active users here. And it tells me the number of users who are active on any given day. So when I say active, that means they have come on your website once. How different this report is from the previous overview report, because it allows you to do rolling date averages. Very easy. You click on 7-day active users, 14-day active users, 28-day active users, select a good amount of date range, and it will tell you how rolling averages are looking like. It is a consistently performing website. All lines are straight. That means they have figured their ground and almost they're getting new users and they're maintaining previous users. Let me switch this report so that we can compare it with other websites that I'm analyzing for demo. Okay, hang on. So I go to this University of Commons website and see what do they have to offer in this report. So I'll keep switching between the two so that we can compare. I go to active users. You see a lot of fluctuation in your data. That means you're still attempting many things. You see here how when you stopped putting in your marketing efforts, then the rolling averages of number of users is going down, then it is maintained, and then it is starting to go up a little. So when I say rolling averages, it says on 6th September 2018, that day only 6 users came on your site. Sorry, 9 users came on your site. But a week ending on 6th September, 173 were there. Fortnight ending on 6th September, it is 397. And month ending on 6th September, it was 636 users. I can do the same for 7th and 8th and 9th and 10th as opposed to picking a date range. It gives me for every day. Now, this is the most basic report any blogger would want to see. You know, how much of users do I get? How much of users do you get? This is what everybody talks about. This is that simple report. Now you see here there are 3 items called lifetime value, cohort, and audience. All 3 of them are in beta. What is the meaning of beta? That means they're still trying to figure out whether this is the right report. Maybe some of you will not have access to it. Maybe some of you will have access to it because it is rolled out to a limited few for testing purposes. I don't even know what it has to offer. So maybe by next session, I will read about it. This particular report was not even there maybe 2 weeks back. So give me some time. I will read about it. It's a very new report, and maybe in the next session we'll cover this. Cohort analysis is again a report which is very new. Not that it is very old also. And so cohort, what is the meaning of the word cohort? Can anybody tell me? Let's talk about cohort for a while. Have you ever heard of the word cohort? Okay. Nobody knows the word cohort. This is an English word. Okay, it has become an English word. It was a Greek word before. Okay. So cohort is basically grouping of people or users. See, I think it has a history, so let's talk about that also. Cohort is a group of people with similar characteristic. Then why is it not called a group? It's called a cohort because it has the ability to rearrange into new groups the moment you change the underlying characteristic. For example, okay, let's take the real world example. Let's say there is a cohort or a group of people of digital marketing batch number 222 in Digital Vidya. So there was a last batch called 222 batch, just random number, and a batch before that was 221. The underlying basic characteristic, let's say, is their salary. Right now I'm looking at salary. And after doing the digital marketing course, the certification that they got, the batch number 221 received approximately a 10% hike in their salary after doing this course because of the confidence gain and because of the practice they did on digital marketing. But batch number 222 received only 3% increment on an average. So when I'm trying to understand group behavior, it is very different from the individual behavior. Maybe from the batch number 222, there was one person whose increment was 25%, but the average was 3%. So overall group increment came down. Now, the moment I take these two batches and say, now I don't want to analyze you on the batch number basis, I want to take these two batches, but I want to now analyze the same data of salary increments between males and females. Suddenly, these two groups will merge and disintegrate again into males and females, and the numbers will differ. Maybe the females went up in their increment by 12% and males were about 6%. So suddenly, when you try and change the basic characteristics, the groups change or the people change which group they belong to. That is called cohorts. The new dynamically created cohorts are called groups. This is very similar to something in the marketing world we call as segments. A segment has a different characteristic, but a segment essentially is a cohort. They behave to a certain stimulus you provide in the market. The moment you give a 5% offer, a certain segment will come and react and buy that particular product. And if you raise the price by 5%, then maybe a different kind of people will start buying it. So Sumit, I'll give you an example here. So uh, in this particular dashboard, okay, let me give you a basic example before we come to the dashboard. Have you seen war movies, Sumit? Narnia, 300, Bahubali, all of these movies you would have seen, right? If you see an army or any defending or the other enemy army does not attack at once from the same fashion. There are strategies in the war. So you don't attack from front alone. You have left side, right side, airway, waterway, from the back side, and maybe from the cannons, from the swords, from the guns, and so on and so forth. How do you think the people are identified in the soldier population on the basis of their skills on what they will do? So there are certain people who know how to fly airplanes, but there are certain people who know how to use knives, isn't it? And therefore, those cohorts are positioned appropriately so that you can neutralize the enemy. This was the first usage of the word cohort in wars. So the word cohort is coming from Greek mythology, where armies knew to strategize cohorts in certain places to neutralize the enemy. And suddenly, when the war strategist will announce something, and cohorts will change their positions and individual positions and form new groups to confuse the enemy. So some will stop firing, some will start firing, so on and so forth. That's a cohort. Now that cohort word has been used in marketing many a times and which has been absorbed as called segments. So for example, I am standing at the Mercedes-Benz showroom and a client comes. Now we are one on one, but we belong to two different groups. I am a salesperson and the other person is a customer. We don't even know each other. But there are certain key questions I will be asking my customer to understand which cohort this person belongs to or which segment this person belongs to. Does this person value engine power or does it value money? Does it value mileage? Does it value luxury? Does it value safety and security? So Mercedes-Benz is also purchased by different segments. Based on which segment or cohort this belong to, I will use the right weapon to neutralize him as a salesman. So if a customer is saying that I care about engine power, and this guy is very technical, he has done a lot of research on how an engine should be, which how many horsepower and what wire should go where. This guy is a very well trained person on engines. He's a car fanatic. If I keep talking to him about mileage, if I keep talking to him about how luxurious the car is, I am not going to neutralize him. He will leave me and he will go and buy from BMW. So it's very essential to understand which cohort a person belongs to and what works for that cohort. And therefore your positioning and your targeting and your communication strategy is designed like that, not your war strategy in this time. So that's all the word cohort means. We all belong to a cohort. We all belong to an ideological cohort. So Sumit loves Modi government, so he's a ABVP and BJP fan. But let's say, um, you know, someone else belongs to, he feels that Rahul Gandhi should become the next prime minister. He belongs to that cohort, and these people will have a different conversation when they sit with each other. We all belong to ideological cohorts as well, and therefore we started looking at customers like that. That's all the word cohort means. Sorry for a long explanation. But right now, what you're looking at screen, because it's a beta uh, testing that they're doing with this, they are making cohorts on the basis of acquisition date, not on their ideologies. So let's say on my website, on a certain date, there are a number of users who are coming on my site, and I want to put them in group by week. So last week, who all came to my website, I will put them in a group and analyze them for their user attention. And in the week before that, I will make a different group and see how did they behave on my site. So my groupings are on the basis of when did I acquire them on the site, not on their ideologies. And then it says if on any given week 100 people come on your site, by week 1 only 3.29% of them are retained. By week 2 1% is retained. By week 3 0.83. By week 4 0.95. By week 5 1.44. So on an average, on week from 3 4 5 my engagement increases, but that is an average. If you really want to do a week by week analysis, you can see that there was a certain week between 19th and 25th August. You acquired those people. Maybe you ran a different kind of campaign. You acquired such people who came back the next subsequent week. So if I were to simplify the cohort analysis today with its current capability in Google Analytics, it basically allows you to understand the stickiness of users on your website. When I say stickiness, do they come back? Do they engage with you over the longer run? That's all it tells. I am hoping with time, when this report goes out of beta, and we will see a lot more cohort types that we can analyze. Right now, it's only about acquisition date. So on analytics blog, there are also certain comments in some blogs which Google team is publishing these days. They may discontinue this report. They may improve this report. The decision is still not taken. This audience report is again very new. So I think these 3 4 reports I will skip until we get to see some. It's very, very new. But let's just go quickly to demographics and then I'll come to User Explorer also. So if I go to overview of demographics, this is a very interesting report. It is now telling me the age and gender distribution of users who come on my site. So I see a good 80% approximately, maybe 75% of my audience is between the age bracket of 18 to 34. Can you see that? Large graphs, large bars here from 18 to 34. And very young audience is basically 40% of my site. Yes, there are some oldies also, 35 plus. Good, they're coming, but I think looks like this is my audience. And if I were to look at the gender distribution, about 63% are females and 36% are males. So that's the distribution. Let's look at the detailed report. So I go to age distribution report, and this is only for the month that I've selected. So let me select a large date range to see. Maybe this will make more sense. So you see here, this format is of the same format, which is dimension values, metrics and metrics values. Looks like an Excel sheet, right? So now it shows me age distribution. It says overall 25 to 34 age bracket is what 46% of my audience. Amazing. So young adults are the ones whom I am engaging, may not be engaging, but I'm popular among that category. Bounce rate is high, approximately 2.5 pages or 2.75 pages in a single session. Time spent is really nice, 3 minutes. Overall, 60% of my revenue is coming from this particular age bracket. Let's relook at this report. This is really, really liberating report. You remember just before the break, we learned to set up goals, and 57 goals or something were generated or something. We made, so now when we are increasing the date range, looks like the website has made $68,000. But when we look at segmented by age reports, Google Analytics automatically segments it. So we never ask them to tell us of this $68,000 who purchased. It automatically gives us that this is the audience that is giving you good amount of revenue or whatever profit after tax value, whatever you put there. This is the audience. Look at the second best audience, 18 to 24, 35%, not a small amount at all, is spending approximately the same time, but look at the revenue difference, only 24%. Now, does that mean something? Does that mean that this audience, which is probably still in college, either doing their masters or undergrad, they are coming in large numbers, approximately, as if you just don't look at the percentage, hardly any difference in the number. It right now I'm feeling I'm losing an opportunity. Here is an opportunity lost because a large portion of my audience does not have anything to buy on my site. They cannot pay $100 worth of a product, which is travelership, which we just saw. Can we create something new? Can we create a product to engage with this audience today, which is of their economic interest, something worth $1, $2 that they can buy, and they can start engaging with my company today, so that when they grow up and they have a disposable income and then they start earning in the age of 25 plus, they can buy other products from me. This is also, I'm sure you all guys are aware of, foot in the door strategy. So you first identify those emerging audience which may not be buying at large numbers from you. You design a strategy called as foot in the door. You can open the door later, but don't let it close. You just put your foot in the door so that it doesn't close forever, and then you start engaging with them with smaller amounts. Maybe I will launch a product worth 200 rupees, or maybe if you enter a college ID card number, you get a 50% off. Dell has done that very, very well. So if you go to a Dell website or Apple website, if you're a student, you get a discount. So the pricing completely differentiates when you create an account and add your college name and ID, roll number and whatever, and then it opens up new prices for you. Can I do that with my organization? Because looks like, oh my God, 3 times the difference with almost similar number audience. And if I introduce a new product for this age bracket, my KPIs will differ, that this number has to also be almost as close to the audience which is there. And who knows, the floodgates will open with here in the revenue. Now I am resisting my temptation to share more, but right now I'm telling what is coming to my mind. You may be interpreting it completely differently. We are just showing the results of diagnosis. The intervention depends on the expert, and you guys are the experts of your business, and you may find relevant grounds to play with these numbers. All right, now let's look at the gender distribution and see what is there. Let's see male versus female audience. Look at this. By the way, let me share with you another case study. You can, yeah, female wins here. I'll tell you where all female won in my okay, so this is a real estate client of mine. I'm telling you a story of that. This report of gender distribution is probably a year-old report. It was in beta until January 2018. After that, it became a full-fledged report. Now, this two-line report completely changed the way a real estate brand I was working with, completely changed the way their marketing happened. So, I wish I could take the name of the brand. It's a South India brand of builders. And it suddenly saw a 30% female market or female user base on their website. 30%. Right now you're seeing 56% in this. and they were approximately 70% males. So males were winning there. And when I say 30% females, it was for a quarter a six-digit number. All right, keep that in mind. Six-digit number of 30% was okay. Ankit is asking me which developer. Hang on, I can't tell you that. But anyways, so six-digit number of a 30% is not a small number over a quarter. Now, what happened then? It was a surprise, not a surprise, it was a shock because the way real estate industry has been working in India is that all the advertisements and marketing have been targeted towards male or the man of the family. For the obvious reasons, we all thought that because real estate decisions are always taken by the man of the family. Now, females may have an influence of whether the architecture is good or not, whether the size of a certain room is big or not, and so on and so forth. Sorry, I'm stereotyping, but that is what the industry believes. When they saw a 30% six-digit number, it was a complete relooking. I mean, even if you look at any full-page newspaper ads or FM ads today in whichever city you are in, it will be either targeted towards men when it says office locations are nearby, or it may also be targeted towards children, the schools are nearby, or it may generally say targeted towards parents. Now, we saw a women base. If you are living in an Indian city, I don't know where you guys are coming from. If you're living in an Indian city, in not northern, but western and southern part of the country, by about next month, you will start seeing hoardings in your city which is designed for women audience, for the new age working women who can now afford a house for themselves and their family. And this is a complete reshift or a paradigm shift in marketing in real estate industry targeting women. You've seen thousands of hoardings in your city, I'm sure, but you will now see targeting towards women in about next month. And you will then remember this session that we spoke about it. Now, does it mean that we are leaving behind 70% male audience? Because it may still be true that men take decisions of the real estate. Well, the answer more or less is yes, that men still take decisions. But here is a risk worth taking because the men market is very, very cluttered. There are about 100 developers out there trying to grab attention of the husbands and the fathers of the family. Here is an opportunity to create something in a complete vacuum and you may sell more in that 30%. That's the only risk we are taking and the hope we have with this. And this all happened with these two-line report. The next question we asked the marketing team, in fact, marketing team asked the diagnostic team or the analytics team, when it looks good that on my website 30% comes, worthy enough to be taken a decision, but can we do this in every city? Can we say that this is the same thing that is happening in, let's say, Pune? Can we do this in Bangalore? Can we do this in Hyderabad? Can we do this in Bombay? Can we do this in Chennai? Because every city has a different kind of audience and they respond to different kind of triggers. And maybe we will lose a lot of, I mean, it's very expensive to put a highway hoardings ban. So can we spend that amount of money just based on these two lines? And then we did something else with the report. So we added something called as a secondary dimension. When we added secondary dimension, we added city name. And suddenly we started seeing double dimension reports. We have a gender and we have a city and every other metrics along with that. And it gave us completely different view. Right now it says female from Bangalore are on top, then male from Bangalore, then male from Chennai, then female from Chennai, female from Hyderabad, female from Mumbai, and so on and so forth. You can look at more number of rows by clicking on show about 25 rows here. Now what we saw in that report with real estate builder is that there were about few cities which were not appearing in top 25 also. including Hyderabad. So we realized that Pune, Mumbai, Bangalore, and Chennai are the places to go do it, but not Vizag and not Hyderabad and not Mysore and not Kochi and so on and so forth. So this just told us about some cities which may be higher on risk, may be lower on risk, but on top of it, going back to school of thought number one, do you believe in analytics or do you believe in your intuition? Do you look outwards when you're looking at answers or do you look inwards when you're looking at answers? So, based on what kind of a person you are, you may say that I will launch it in Hyderabad also and see how the company or how the audience responds. But one thing is for sure that this two-line report, when segmented and sliced and diced, changed the way we are going to do marketing for the next 1 year. So this was one case study I wanted to share with you. Any questions about it? We'll move on to the next uh, thing and then probably last report. I want to show geography now. If I click on geography and location, it shows me, okay, the world map. On my website, there are people coming from across the globe. India is showing me the maximum. So the darker the color, the more audience coming from there in that particular date range. If I change this date range, the numbers will differ. So I've now done it for about 1.5 years. Then the numbers are a little bigger and fancier. So you see, India is your next audience. I mean, India is your first audience, and it also shows that what are your emerging markets and what are your matured markets. Looks like India is a place where you've established yourself, but maybe US is the next best. If you really want to expand, there is already some interest, about 8% from United States. Already giving you some revenue, right? So let's just look at India and go deeper into that country and see what's happening in this country. Okay, before we go ahead, if you are a local business in the Kashmir part of Jammu and Kashmir or in Arunachal Pradesh, unfortunately there is no data for you. According to United Nations, this is considered disputed land. Not that any other country will be able to see that data and Indians are not. It's not like that. This data is not available to anybody. And I have been working with a large organization in the child development and child skilling space. A lot of work is happening in the Kashmir side so that at an early age in school level you start to intervene properly so that they look for jobs in constructive work as opposed to wandering on the streets. So that NGO is also India's third largest NGO, and they wanted data from Kashmir. And unfortunately, neither Google Analytics nor any other tool can give data for that particular this thing because uh, it's not accessible. So, anyways, keeping the opinions aside, this is the fact, and it shows that Karnataka is on top with about 66% of the audience and about 77% of your revenue coming from there. Let's just look at what's happening within cities. This is the state level data. I go to city, shows me Bangalore is on top, then Chennai, then Hyderabad, then Mumbai, then Pune, then New Delhi, Kochi, etc. Now, what is this not set? We will talk about. Hang on for a while. But let's take another case study here. Let's learn some slicing and dicing of reports. Let's say our CEO says bounce rate is very high, 30%, or sorry, 50%. We need to bring it down. How do we bring it down? So let's first identify, let's diagnose further which are the top three cities with maximum bounce rate, right? Because the average is 50, I'm sure there are some above 50, some below 50. Look at this 59%, look at this 63%. Let's identify those top three cities where bounce rate is maximum. Then what we will do? We will do some city specific campaigns. We'll do some engagement drives, road shows, or digital marketing and then the bounce rate will reduce, overall will also come down. So in order to do that, how do we slice that data? Right now, this report is shown to you in the descending order of the number of users. You see a down arrow here, small down arrow, with highest number of users on top. Similarly, I'll click on bounce rate. The whole data is now redesigned for descending order of bounce rate. And the top three cities that came up are Faridabad, Dharwad, and Kolhapur. And the filter already set is India, so the top three cities are coming in India. Now, what do you guys think? If we are in the analytics team and the marketing team, should we do city-specific campaigns in Faridabad, Dharwad, and Kolhapur? Should we go start investing in these three cities? If no, why? If yes, why? Okay, Ankit is saying not worth it. Sumit is saying yes. Let me repeat the question, guys. These are the top 10, or rather look at top 3 cities with maximum bounce rate. And we want to reduce the overall bounce rate. And the top 3 cities were Faridabad, Dharwad, and Kolhapur. As an organization, should we go start investing in these cities to reduce the bounce rate? Sumit is saying yes, Ankit is saying no. What about others? Okay, Deva Sharma is saying yes, we should go ahead. So Ankit is saying not worth it. Ankit, would you like to tell why? And you can respond in public. You are sending private messages to me. Okay, Ankit is saying only one new user, so why go there? Okay. Dhananjay is saying if the visitors are more, then we can invest. If there are less, then not worth it. Okay. Any other response? Okay, so hang on. So before I answer this question, how many of you have heard of bell curve or normal distribution? Have you heard of it? Bell curve and normal distribution in statistics. What does that mean? Can anybody explain to me what it means? If you don't know, that's fine. If you've just heard of it, that's fine. Okay, so let me explain it to you. See, in statistics, whenever we analyze a population, we can't analyze population generally, right? So what do? We take a small sample. We take responses from a few people, and they're like purely random samples. We take responses from a few people. We analyze their response and then extrapolate it over a larger population and say this is how the population will respond to these questions. Or let's say we have a lake and you want to identify what are the pollutants in the lake. It is thinking. You can't take the entire lake to the lab. You will take a small sample of that water, you take to the lab, analyze it, and then say lake is polluted to this level. And all of you who have done market research before, you know sample size. What is a sample, right? How big a sample size is good enough before you say that you can predict the population behavior? Can anybody give me an answer to that? What percentage of the population should you analyze so that you can say population has been has been analyzed properly? That's a question to all of you. 25%, Sumit says. Okay. 3 to 5%, Dhananjay says. So Sumit, Dhananjay, let me ask you this question. Have you seen news channels doing exit polls? Like even before the actual election results are out, they give you percentages that which party is going to win. How many responses do you think these people would have taken before publishing on a news channel that will impact people's behavior? How many people would they have asked? Let me tell you the answer. 3% is huge. 25% is like quarter of a population. Imagine to do such a survey, you need to analyze 25 crore Indians before you say anything for the country. The actual number that statisticians say is a magic number. The number is 30. And I'm not joking. The moment you cross the number 30, you have found a normal distribution or something that they say can be extrapolated over a larger population. It is not a percentage of the population. So legally, Times Now and Aaj Tak and NDTV, CNBC can show you any sort of result if they have taken 30 responses, and they can say these many people are saying they'll vote for BJP or whatever or Aam Aadmi Party and so on. So 30 is what makes you legit. But if you take 300 responses, you will be a little more accurate. If you take 30,000 or 3 lakh responses, you will be a bit more accurate. But the percentage level between 30 and 3 lakh of accuracy will be not more than 2 to 3%. The results will not differ. And that is the difference between theorem and corollary. So I'm taking you to statistics now for a few seconds. I'm sure in your mathematics you have proven some theorems and then you've written LHS equal to RHS, hence proved. Theorem is correct. I'm sure all of you have done that. But corollary is something that cannot be proved, but only observed. So number 30, closer to the right sample size, is a corollary. After that, you take 3 million responses, more or less will be similar with about 2 to 5% deviation. So taking that analysis back into this report that is visible on your screen, what it says is that Faridabad has given us one user. Dharwad has given us one user, not even 1 second. So in all likelihood, this is a spam also. So what do? You only look for those cities where minimum 30 people have come, because below that you were not even analyzing that city because it's not worth analyzing. So you click on advanced filter here on top. You see advanced? Click on advanced. Cities are already included. You will include those cities where users are greater than at least 30. The moment you apply this, your nonsense data starts to make sense. Look at this. Now the cities are on top are Kolkata, Ahmedabad, Guwahati, Kochi, Lucknow, Chennai. They look like where my audience are. Look like in the last quarter, there are people who are spending enough time. They've also, some of them have purchased, so it is worth investing. Ahmedabad is next, maybe Lucknow, or maybe Chennai. Or I don't believe in the number 30. Let's at least keep let's at least keep 80. Now I can increase to any number I am comfortable with, but minimum should be 30. So Guwahati is off the radar now. New Delhi has come on number 6. So looks like Kolkata, Ahmedabad, Kochi are my emerging cities where I can do some relevant intervention. This is how I will choose my geography to do marketing. If I want to expand in India, I see emerging cities from Kolkata, Ahmedabad, and Kochi. Why am I so much focusing on Bangalore, Chennai, Pune, and metro cities where there is potential in these cities as well? They are giving me some money. Kochi is giving me $3,000, approximately 2% of my dollar money, worth investing in. Now my question to all of you is: will you go ahead with Kolkata, Ahmedabad, and Kochi if you want to expand your business there? Yes or no? Sumit says yes. Ankit says yes. I would say maybe, because often analysts forget that not every data point is in your dashboard. No matter how much have you sliced and diced your own data, there is some data which is outside of your purview. So looking at my business is to work with young students. This University of Commons is basically 18 to 30 years age bracket I'm working with. Where do I get these people? I get these people in colleges and in corporates. Is Kolkata the place? Is Ahmedabad the place? Or is Kochi the place? So I will look at some data, maybe some government report of population distribution or the number of colleges in these cities. And if I find in Kochi the number of students is more than the number of students in Kolkata, I will drop Kolkata on the basis of that data. So I am saying I will merge this data with data outside of my dashboards and make right decisions there. All right. So enough of Gyan today. It's 1 o'clock. We have done enough. So today we have learned about setting goals. We started with, uh, how to set up goals. We learned about how to put value to the goal. We learned about funnels. We learned about gap-based interventions. First half. In the second half, we learned about the reporting interface. We learned about We've just started audience panel. In the audience panel, a few reports and how some businesses, a real estate company or a publishing company or a education company, is changing the way they do marketing just by looking at small and big reports. We also learned about how to do secondary dimensions. We also learned about how to do advanced filters, and it tells you something. First of all, we always started with having objectives and then slicing and dicing data. Once we had an objective, then we added a secondary dimension. Once we had an objective, which city to go to, we added a advanced filter. So we learned to slice and dice reports. We also learned to add segments and small things. I think it is enough. It is good enough for today. In the last session, I'm going to raise the bar a little above. I'm hoping that you guys will do your exercise very well. You're going to spend some time in exploring what you all learned today, including the things what you may not have learned today in the tasks. So these are the tasks which you will explore. You'll take some quiz. And in the next session, I tell you, is going to be a transformative session for all of you in digital marketing. So even if you have not understood a single point in the last 3 sessions, I welcome you to the fourth session. Because in the fourth session, that's the difference between a great digital marketer and a very bad digital marketer. Fourth session is about measuring returns on your digital marketing investment. So we spoke about diagnosis and intervention. Now we are going to talk about, once you have spent money in the intervention, you have spent 5 lakh rupees on Facebook marketing and maybe 10 lakhs on Twitter. Does the report change? Does it show has the business become better? Or 5 lakh rupees worth of investment in Facebook was better than spending 10 lakhs on Twitter? Then how do you reallocate your budget? Once you have reallocated your budget, whether now the output and outcome are optimal, and all of those things is session 4. Yes, Sumit. So now you have access to uh, your own dashboard. You have access to um, Google Merchandise Store. Feel free. The idea is to go through these tasks no matter what report you're analyzing. So I will leave you now here. It's about 1 o'clock and the house is open for questions. If you have questions, I will be here answering them. But if you do not have questions, I have a request to give feedback on this URL. It's very important to give feedback to us. And I am hoping that today's session as well improved some understanding of Google Analytics and marketing in per se. If today you can say in last 2 hours of your listening capacity, you have absorbed a little bit more, and you can talk sense in front of your marketing team and show that you are a little more intellectually capable of doing this job, I think the job is done.
Okay, so Ankit is saying to send the URL separately to him. Okay, well, Ankit, I've sent that to you. Did you receive it? So guys, thank you so much. Have fun. Enjoy your weekend, whatever is left. Do not forget to give feedback, and if possible, spend 10-15 minutes in writing something in the chat in this box, because that helps us. Your text inputs also help us to improve our feedback. Thank you so much. Enjoy your weekend. Bye bye, and see you next Sunday. Do not miss that session. Bye bye. Have fun. Good night.